when we were talking about next class, he said, why don't we start now looking at delivering the lectures ourselves, so I said fine. So I think our consensus was to really look at the topics which we had set out from the beginning and start tackling those. Or, I mean, it's your choice. If you wanted to go to the previous topics which Lal Prabhuji has discussed and then and repeat it, that's also fine, But I think the ultimate goal is that within the next few months we should be able to really get going, on these topics, because I think most of the basic information has been provided, and there's a lot of detailed information also provided in some of the lectures. So I think we should be equipped to really handle the classes. You already have a lot of information for the youth group, Y1.
Yes.
And I think we'll see how, depending on, I'll meet with all the teachers later part of kind of, I think, February or March, and then get a feeling, how many, teachers we will need, and then we can kind of, go with that,
So the goal here is that this is a presentation will be given to you, right?
Yeah, so with modifications, because this crowd is a little bit more elevated crowd, so, and I will go over what my strategy is going to be, how I would be teaching, and everybody has different style of teaching, and so you can have your style of teaching, but the material will be the same, but you could tone it down or tone it up depending on which class you're teaching. So yeah, so we are collecting all the lectures, and because you may have been seeing all the slides and all that, so it's all on a shared drive, right? We have all the lectures on a shared drive. Anybody who needs it, we can provide them, and then you just get going, so.
The material and the messages should be same.
Yeah.
Pattern can be different.
Pattern can be different.
Message changes in both programs.
Yeah, message has to be the same, yes.
But it will be more individualized the way people teach.
Right, yeah. So since the message has to be the same, so that's why our first slide is always going to be invocation prayer. So I would like all of us to recite this. Om Madhyanam Tumadasya Nadana Lakaya Chakshurana Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. So the meaning of the prayer is that I offer my respectful obeisance unto my spiritual master, who with the torchlight of knowledge has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. So this sloka actually comes from scriptures. It's not made up sloka. There's various references you could find in Srimad Bhagavatam and also in the Vedas. So this is not something which is just related to ISKCON or their philosophy. So basically, you are really giving because we are now in the process of teaching, delivering the message. So that message has to be, like you said, has to be the same, which is really being imparted from generations. So I think that universal kind of, we could make it a universal prayer where we start with that, for all the youth kids. So the topic today is 4 pillars of Dharma. So without you can see that a child can't walk with 1 or 2 or 3. They have to have 4 legs to crawl and then stand up and walk. So when I start taking a class, I usually have an icebreaker, which I think everybody has a little bit of an icebreaker, to really ask the audience that, okay, we got 4, we understand what legs mean, what 4 means, and what Dharma means. Hopefully they understand. We'll go in detail. But what's the importance of 4s here? Okay, so the question to the youth or other class which you're teaching can be, okay, can you think of anything which is represented by 4s in our Sanatana Dharma?
4 Vedas.
4 Vedas.
Maybe the 4 yogas too.
4 yugas?
Yogas.
Yogasanas 4?
No.
Yuga.
Bhakti, no. Bhakti yoga. Dhyana yoga.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Anything else? Anything which?
Just yogas.
4 yugas? Yes. Yes. Sudhir bhai? Anything else with 4? Okay. Anything? Okay. So I felt that you've answered most of it. Like 4 Vedas, 4 yugas, 4 varnas, 4 ashramas, right? And 4 goals of life. This is what if you read the scriptures, if you read the Vedas, it ultimately leads to those 4 goals of life, right? Which is described in the literature. So, so then I think we can ask you. This is a good icebreaker because then you can ask youth their really knowledge. Okay, do they really know the subject or not? Okay, 4 Vedas. What are the 4 Vedas? You could ask them for the names and see if they can really explain a little bit more. Or 4 yugas. I think by the time they reach to that level, they should have the information on that. So, or 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. Does everybody know? Do you know what varna and ashramas? No? You want to explain what varna and ashramas?
So I'm not sure I'm clear about it either. 4 varnas, I'm not sure, but is it the Kshatriya, Brahmin?
So varnas are the social classes,
Okay.
and ashramas are actually the stages in life.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So like you said, the varna for social classes, which is the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. That's the social class.
Right.
And each class can be further explained, and it could be a discussion on its own. Some youth like to really have a lot of questions, and you could answer those questions also at that time. And then 4 ashramas. What are the 4 ashramas?
That's
The first stage.
childhood.
Well, brahmachari.
Yeah,
Brahmachari.
brahmachari.
Then
Then
grahastha. Then
and then sannyas.
sannyas is the last one.
I don't.
So what's the stage in between the grahastha and the sannyas? Sannyas is totally that, like, you're ready,
Right.
now going into.
Forgot.
Huh? Vanaprastha.
Oh.
Vanaprastha. Okay. So that's. So I think I'm going to talk about the 4 goals of life first, and then we'll connect it to the 4 pillars of Dharma. So let's just go to the next slide. Goals of life. I think, again, to go to your question, there is a sloka from Bhagavad Gita. I think we have all read this in chapter 2, where Lord Krishna is describing Yam Imam Pushpitam Vacham. So it's flowery language, right? So it's directly coming from Vedas, whatever the aspects or goals we want. But Lord Krishna is actually warning even earlier on in chapter 2 that yes, you could get attached to that flowery language, but that's not it only. There's much more to it.
And make that as your goal also.
Make that as your goal.
Your goal can be simply to enjoy. That's the point here. You can also consider that to be a goal, or you can have a goal as to be a moksha.
Moksha. So somebody can read that. Why don't you read this so that everybody?
The English or the Sanskrit?
No, this is the translation.
Okay. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this.
So he is warning that, okay, you could be in this realm and keep coming back.
Right.
in the same circle.
Mm-hmm.
But there's much more to it. He explains it later on. So I think that's. So what's more important? Should we? So that's the karma kanda section of the Vedas. The first three levels were the karma kanda section of Vedas. Now, do we really follow the instructions to reach the final destination, and why? I think that's a question. Right? For us as teachers here, it's very clear. Okay, that we want. But I think in kids, when you are explaining that to the youth, then you have to have a different language given to them. That why are you doing this? So there has to be an explanation. There has to be a few more slides to really ask them that question. That why shouldn't we just follow those three? And moksha, it's who's interested in moksha when you are 15 years old, or 16 years old when you are going through your school right now. Nobody talks about moksha with that. So you have to present it in that way, So I think there has to be a few more slides instead. What's the reason? Why we all know the reasons, So what are those instructions? Are they really difficult to follow? Okay. So then now you are getting in the nitty-gritty of the topic.
Mm-hmm.
What are those instructions? How can you achieve those goals to really reach to moksha? And what are the steps which you can lead, which you can take to really get to that goal?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's where the dharma comes in picture. Okay. So dharma is, again, as we know that it depends on the context where you want to really use the term. It's doing your duty, or it's the religion itself, or being righteous, and all that. So those are the four basic principles, or these are the four basic pillars of dharma: mercy, truthfulness, austerity, and cleanliness. So you want to read?
By following the four regulative principles, we support these pillars and free ourselves from miseries and from causing pain to others. Along with chanting Hare Krishna, following these principles form the basis of Krishna conscious practice.
So I think that's the base. Okay, now you have to find out. Okay, so where did we get this from? Really, what's the origin of these? So the origin of the pillars, you can search in the literature. It's actually coming from Bhagavatam. Are also qualities which one has, and it's the essence of the qualities which have been described in chapter 10 and then chapter 16. There's so many chapters in Gita which keeps going about these qualities. So we could again quiz the kids if they remember any.
Is the story of Parikshit in the Bhagavatam itself at the beginning, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I haven't actually read the Bhagavatam at all. So.
Yeah. So because I feel that whenever you are trying to really teach a subject or a topic, you have to have a reference, a source.
Sure.
You cannot do it otherwise.
Right.
Because it's like spiritual material, you have to have the source, and then you have to say it exactly as it is. So 4 pillars of dharma. So we want to read.
The god of morality had taken the form of a bull and was walking the only yet he stood. He came upon the goddess of the earth who had taken the form of a cow and was darkened under the shadow of grief, with tears covering her cheeks like a mother who has lost her child.
So that's the picture, the title picture. So this picture has a lot of things in it, So this is probably a whole because the Canto 1, 17th chapter is almost dedicated. The whole chapter is dedicated to this. So if we get into the details, it's a lot. So I've summarized this in the next few slides. So the bull is asking the cow. You want to read the whole thing?
Good lady, are you all right? Why has the shadow of grief darkened the face of your soul? Are you ill, mother? Do you lament for my broken legs? Do you weep because wicked people will soon eat you? Are you depressed over the drought that will soon strike you when sacrifices to the gods cease? Do you cry for the unsheltered women and children of the earth? who will be left for monsters to devour, or because priests will speak only words, while their fraudulent behavior abandons spirituality in search of political power, or because the politicians will bewilder themselves with differing while civilization declines into a mob, mindlessly and randomly eating, drinking, living, bathing, and having sex.
So I think the last three lines have come very much true of this age. This is what is happening. Nothing more than that, really, So, but this is from a literature which is so many thousands of years old, So again, it could be broken for the youth. It could be broken and reworded in a different fashion. So that's where now we are. I've summarized it in a couple of slides, so we can just go over. You want to read?
Yeah, Maharaja Parikshit
And Kali.
Maharaja Parikshit thus gave Kali permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter were performed. The personality of Kali was asked for something more, and because of his begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold, because wherever there is gold, there is also falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. Thus, the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaja Parikshit, was allowed to live in those 5 places. Therefore, whoever desires progressive well-being, especially kings, religionists, public leaders, brahmanas, and sannyasis, should never come in contact with the 4 above-mentioned irreligious principles. Thereafter, the king re-established the lost legs of the personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities, he sufficiently improved the condition of the earth.
So this is really the summary of the whole chapter. Prabhu, you want to add something to this? So practical applications. I think this is the okay. So how do you really do it? Okay. So when we say mercy, that you should not be you should be very ahimsa, right? You should have compassion. How can you be compassionate? So that's these are the practical ways. No eating meat, fish, or eggs. Okay, so why? What's the reason? Then there's an explanation. Why? Sudhir, you want to read that?
Killing animals destroys the quality of mercy. These foods are sacred to the rules of passion and ignorance, and therefore cannot be offered to God. A person who eats these foods participates in conspiracy with violence against helpless animals and thus curtails his spiritual progress.
So, and we could talk because this slide will generate a lot of questions, because most of you may not be aware that probably about, I would say, 70 to 80% of the kids who we be teaching are not vegetarian, maybe more. So because this is a big challenge to their lifestyle, so at this age, because they're going to go home and ask their parents, is this correct or not? So depends how the parents are, then they would give what kind of an answer they get from them. They come back, then ask us, because I remember 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I was taking a class, and one girl, she's in second year of the college now, she pushed me so much that it's not written in Gita anywhere that where you should be vegetarian. The parents are vegetarian, the kids still eat, So I said yes. The Gita does not mention, as such that you should not eat, but the Gita gives you choices, right? The food mode of goodness, food mode of ignorance, passion. So this is a food in ignorance.
But it does mention about killing animals in the Bhagavad Gita.
Killing animals?
Yeah, I can find it real quickly, because I actually found it the other day. Just a second.
Killing animals and eating them?
I can read you the quote
Huh?
in just a second.
Maybe in the purport, I see, okay. Yeah.
It's a Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14. It says, indulgence in animal killing for the taste of the tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance.
Yeah. But it's in the purport, right? So what happens is that the kids, they're smart. The purport is it could be, if you read a different purport, it may not be there. That may not be there. So that could be an argument too. So a simple thing I mentioned to her was that, okay, you tell me, you go to the temple. I've seen you many times. Would you offer meat to the god? She said no. Then I said, okay, that's your answer here. So why not?
There are some temples where they offer goat and all those animals. Sacrifice of animals in some temples in India.
Yeah, but I think that's for entirely different reason, right? That's the Kali Puja where they do it, not in the temples, Vishnu temple or other temples. So and that's I think that's done for a totally different reason. I don't know how would you answer that?
So I think that this discussion is going to be very elaborate. That
Yeah.
the question will come if they ask the question. I don't know if they're going to ask this question.
No, they ask all sort of questions
Yeah.
because these slides, one slide you can make like 10 slides from these, and then elaborate them. Yeah.
So I'm just asking a question, but I'll also try to answer.
Sure.
And what about this is part of Bhagavad Gita, so what about the other religion? Right, like Islam, so forth. They are also very religious, but they have halal.
Yeah.
And all,
okay.
so are they considered to be sinful or whatever?
So yeah, so those things are going to come. So my answer to that would be that that according to the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas, what we follow, if you are interested in coming back, time and time again, then it's your what you wish to do. But if you want to really be in a spiritual mode and elevate further, then it's not recommended.
I think you can approach scientifically. Scientifically, if you look at, people have asked me a question and I answered because I have somebody that really told me about it. If you do the research work and the physicians is dimensional, we know that human body and animal bodies are much different. Human body with a small stomach, 30-40 millimeters size. There's a reason why. Animal body has a large stomach and only 2 big millimeters size. There's a reason for it. And also you are what you eat. So I think if you relate to that, it will
Yeah.
make sense to the children.
Yeah, that's
And vegetarian food is difficult to digest. That's why the small stomach, more normal height, see how to get in, and then different stages.
so. I think there is a whole host of medical reasons, scientific reasons. That's a different. But I think your question was more religious based, because in Islam, suppose they don't have a concept of afterlife or coming back, or because theirs is that it's one lifetime. You enjoy or you pray. I mean, they also believe on prayers, and once you're done, you're done. You don't come back. There's no concept on that.
So when it comes to the Hindu religion, the sacrifices are done in certain temples because there are different types of sacrifices, worships are there. In mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of sattva, goodness. So certainly that also is allowed, but it falls into the mode of ignorance.
Ignorance. Yeah.
One answer. Second answer is that anyone who does sacrifice any animal to Durga, Kali, whatever the deities are, there is a procedures given in the Purana, in the Shastra. If you follow that exactly, then you get a benefit out of it. Attached to that, you also have to suffer for the sacrifice now or later. You get an immediate result out of it.
Yeah.
For example, in Sanskrit, the flesh is called mamisa. Mamisaha. There's a beautiful term that the sloka tells in Mahabharata what mamisaha means. Mamisaha means, ma-misaha means, I'm offering this animal to you. Next lifetime, I become that.
That animal.
And that's exactly what mamisa means. Mamisa means, I take your position, you take my position. Means next time you come back and you chop me off. That's the meaning of mamisa.
Yeah.
So with that agreement, you chant and you do in the middle of the night out in the village when no one is really watching. There are a lot of procedures are given how to do it. If you do that, then yes, okay. At least you're following certain principles told in the
Following protocols, yeah.
but not like Sunday chicken biryani or every day. It's not as per the Shastra. Therefore, you're not allowed to eat.
And I think one more thing is also been misquoted is that Kshatriyas.
Yeah.
We are all Kshatriyas, because Kshatriyas were warrior class, so they were allowed to really take meat.
So here is the point.
Yeah.
Answer for the question.
Yeah.
You just went through the Varna and Ashram.
Yes.
The Dharma, Varna, and Ashram differs. According to the according to the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, they all have individual. One cannot do the other. That's what Bhagavad Gita says.
Yes.
Do your dharma,
Do your work.
even if it is wrong.
Yes.
Therefore, they all do that because they are first of all Kshatriya,
Yes.
where you want to follow only certain aspect of meat eating or you're not. You're not even. There's a certain rules given what Kshatriya should do.
Yeah.
If you're doing everything, then you talk about eating as they ate, because they ate those things because they have to do certain things. They drink. Yes, drinking is allowed for them, but they drink for certain reasons also. There are certain things that, according to their dharma, certain things are allowed. But majority of them have been vegetarian also.
Yeah.
Exceptionally, there are few, but the majority Kshatriyas are all very
But
religious.
is there a reference to that they're allowed to eat meat? Is there a reference in the literature?
We can find it, but yes, that's how
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
But they use, like how you have hunting. Hunting is allowed for Kshatriyas, not for Brahmanas
Yes.
and other classes.
Yeah, like the kings used to hunt. The
Yeah.
kings were
Hunting,
Kshatriyas and they used to hunt.
They can go and hunt because of they have to get prepared for the war. Therefore,
Yeah.
they are allowed to do that thing.
Mhm.
Certain things are allowed, but even they use it very carefully, not just like that.
So you want to say something?
He just said that when killing animals and eating them, then your attitude changes. You will be more aggressive. That nature is required for Kshatriya.
Mhm.
When he goes into that, he cannot be soft. So
Mhm.
that sort of nature comes from killing the animals and being a peace.
And also, the elevated Kshatriyas, they are all vegetarians.
Mhm.
You can see all the stories in Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Nowhere you will find there's a Shivi Maharaj who was ready to give his body parts to a bird.
To a bird. Yeah.
There's so many stories.
Yeah.
They're all vegetarians.
Mhm.
They're all vegetarian. The kings are vegetarian. Even Mirabai story, if you read, her husband they were all forcing for her to eat meat, and she said no. Being a Kshatriya lady,
Mhm.
she said, no, we can just go on.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on. One is truthfulness. So no gambling. Okay. You want to read for me?
Truthfulness is destroyed by gambling. This is quite obvious. Gambling turns a person into a liar, a cheat. Gambling is invariably puts one into anxiety and fuels greed, envy, and anger.
Does everybody agree here?
Question.
Yes.
Then why did Yudhishthira Maharaj gamble?
Huh?
Yudhishthira Maharaj, why did he gamble? Knowing he's a incarnation of Dharma himself. How did he gamble?
I think he was put in that situation, I guess. Huh?
No.
No, it was not his weakness. He was always truthful.
So here is two answers.
Yes.
One answer is, being a Kshatriya, you should, when the challenge is given to you, you cannot say no.
Okay.
So that's one of the Dharma of Kshatriya Dharma.
Okay.
You've been challenged, you have, whether you know you don't know, you have to take the challenge. Number one. Number two is important for all of us is that he's perfectly such a great person. Being great, even a great person can fall down if he get into gambling. Who else can be a better example than Yudhishthira Maharaj?
Okay. So you to look at from that
Other
angle.
angle.
Other angle. Yeah.
Lapse.
Yeah. No, it was not mental lapse, right?
Momentary lapse.
Yeah.
He,
No.
he was following for 99.99% of the time. That one time he did not follow, and we paid a huge price for that.
Prabhu, what you are saying is that he was still under the dharma because he was challenged to do that. But if he could fall, then what about us? Is that
That's
what
the
you're?
point.
Yeah, that's the
If
point.
If Dharmaraj is Dharmaraj.
Yeah, he's the.
Yudhishthira can fall down from his position by getting into the habit of gambling.
You know what who Yudhishthira is?
How careful we should be is the question.
He's the older brother of Arjuna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the two angles we can answer.
We can answer,
gambling.
yeah.
So therefore, don't get into this habit of gambling.
Yeah. So, are there any associated things with gambling, or the people are going to, I mean, the youth then are going to ask a few other questions. That okay, that's just gambling, but how about just small bets here and there? Kids do the bets. Okay, if you do, fantasy football, yeah, is that allowed?
Why gambling is wrong, first of all? Before we get, it's a game.
Yeah.
Why gambling is wrong? Why is it part of this thing?
So it, yeah,
That's a basic question. we should answer.
Anxiety, it fuels anxiety, greed, envy, and anger.
yeah. So what are those modes? Where it comes in the mode of passion or ignorance, in both of them.
So
So
it is question for the students, youth is what gambling means. We ask back the question. So
Yeah.
what creates when you're doing gambling, when you're playing, betting and all those different
Yes.
things? What happens? You want to win,
yeah,
and somehow or the other you want to win. So naturally you lose the truthfulness, and also that creates a second aspect to the anxiety. You're getting attached of what's going to happen. I'm going to win or I'm going to lose. So any of this anxiety and losing of your truthfulness obviously is going to be negative. It's not going to progress you spiritually.
yeah.
For example, how is that different from playing a game, whether it is soccer or any game, right? There also you want to win.
Truthfully. You can play truthfully.
Then the argument, the kids will argue, even some of the gambling is highly regulated. You can play truthfully, you don't have to cheat. You can still gamble, you don't have to cheat.
But gambler is always expecting of something as a wealth more and more and more.
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is that that there are situations where you don't have to gamble with the money or anything. It's just more emotional.
Right.
It's like having time, having a good time.
Those things are fine.
Yeah.
This thing especially speaks about gambling, little gambling
Yeah.
of where money is involved.
Money or some kind of a gain is involved.
Money or some object is being involved.
Yeah.
So don't keep that as something and
Maybe we need to distinguish that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
One thing, Prabhu. Also, Prabhu, about 3 or 4 years ago, I asked you, the stocks also come under.
The stocks is gambling.
What about if you buy the stocks and leave it there? This is a question being asked. You're not gambling. I mean, you see, I mean, the kids are going to find. I mean, there are some kids who want to do finance, and you have to leave your money somewhere. You can't leave it in the bank because it loses value in the bank.
So one important thing of while they're teaching is that speak and teach what we follow.
Yeah, that is true.
Otherwise, not going to be good.
Yeah.
So just
So they might ask me, do I own stocks? Yes, I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually,
bring those topics out.
Actually, there are people who don't invest.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody has stocks.
There are people who don't invest because it's against their religious principles.
Like who?
I'm not sure. I have heard it before. Somebody, I think, might be somebody, maybe a financial planner asked me.
Okay,
about that.
so the answer is that in Islam, the sood, the interest
Mhm.
is not, you should not pay the interest or take the interest. That's why I think all the religious scholars and all that's okay. But you can invest and make money through that and then put that into work. But you cannot take interest. Like suppose if you
That is part of Sanatana Dharma. Even Sanatana Dharma, loan and interest are all not considered to be a
Yes.
class thing.
but there it's very, very explicit. I think we don't, because I think I told you that I'm, the way we used to look down upon ourselves in Pakistan, because they used to make fun of us, because Hindus were what? They used to drink, they had all the liquor license, so the Muslims can go and get liquor license. We all most of us used to give money on interest so that we can.
Pawn shopping.
Yeah, pawn shopping. We had the most pawn shops, the Hindus. So basically, you're the dirt. You're the rich dirt. This is how Hindus were looked at, and still being looked at.
Because you were gambling?
No, gambling. No, I mean, I'm just saying that growing up in a country where there's a different, So yeah, but I think this is how they associate Hindus with. It's not explicitly it says somewhere, So but theirs is okay. We are not going to take interest. We're not, so. Okay, austerity. You want to read?
Sure. Austerity equals to no use of intoxicants. It's not a very difficult thing to understand because anyone with a sane mind will accept that taking intoxicants is physically, mentally, and spiritually detrimental. It destroys the principle of austerity. Any drink or food which clouds the mind, overstimulates the senses, makes it impossible to follow the principles of bhakti.
So again, this could be broken into many slides. We can go over, I think, each and every, what are those intoxicants? We can talk about in detail. Mostly in this country will be the drugs, which the kids may be exposed to. In youth, this is a big thing. We have a whole class dedicated on it. Drug and alcohol use usually, and we have brought people who have been addicts and all that, how they purify themselves.
So question,
Yes.
the first part of Dharma you said mercy, killing animals, so which I agree, killing others is harmful and ahimsa should be followed. In this case, I am drinking and I am smoking and I am not bothering anyone. How is that going to be a problem for others? I am just being on my own, I am not stealing anyone's money, I am not gambling, I am earning, I am having nice time with drinking and
Yeah, I'm having a social drink here. Yeah. So
that's going to be a problem.
again, I think if we have to practice spirituality or progress in our life, those are the things which are not fostered. So we cannot follow them. If you suppose you have had a drink and you want to chant mantra, or chant your beads, you cannot do it. So if those people who are interested to follow spirituality, then they have to be cognizant of this. So
you're also hurting your very basic level. You're even hurting your body.
so there's a personal. Yeah, I mean that's another point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Anything else?
I think the one phrase where it clouds your mind,
Yeah.
if the child would ask, like you said, I'm not hurting anybody else, I'm doing it myself. But if your mind is foggy and clouded, you're going to make bad decisions about things progressively. So
Right.
Yeah,
that's
and
really
then
important.
there are examples of alcohol-related deaths. These kids or older individuals who drink and drive, they can kill themselves or kill others. Same thing with drugs. You consume the drug, whatever heroin or so, you can
It just affects your behavior.
everything. Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. The first time may be entertainment. It could lead to addiction.
Yeah.
When it leads to addiction, then you lost your mind.
So this could be a big, again,
Yeah.
10 slides on
Yeah.
this. You could expand it much more. There's so much reference material on this. Any other questions on this?
I think you won't get too many questions on this one. People will understand this. I think the weak one is going to be the biggest challenging
We
topic.
can have a separate presentation just for vegetarians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
There's a lot of that higher taste book has
Yeah.
so much information.
Yeah.
Like how Sudhir just said, intestine, body.
Yeah. I think it could be divided into so many things: scientific, medical, this, that. So there could be like 10, 15 slides. It could be a lecture on its own. I don't know if it's in the lectures or not, but I think we can add one of those lectures. So.
I was not sure whether to add that topic or not.
Ashok, we have to be prepared to answer things like, in this world, number of billions of people that are there. If every single one of them is a vegetarian, We cannot feed them. So if everybody is vegetarian, then there won't be enough food for everybody. So how do you say really?
No, that's not true.
That is true.
No, because most of the grain that's raised in the world goes to feed livestock,
Correct.
so for the meat eaters.
Correct. The grain that goes into livestock is a low grade. You're right.
Yeah, so the point is that grain, the land can be cultivated for the other human consumable vegetables.
Exactly.
You're just occupying those land to feed those livestock. Rather you just do it for humans.
So I know. I think this has been a discussion.
I have seen statistics.
Yeah.
Maybe it was promoted by
Monsanto
wheat
people.
board or whatever.
Yeah.
But they claim we cannot feed the whole. It just
It doesn't seem to be
there's not enough land in this world
Yeah,
to
it's
feed
not
the
enough land.
population.
Well, it's just water alone. It takes 2,000 gallons of water to
Yes.
produce 1 pound of ground wheat.
Right. So there's a book called Higher Taste. It's just so much information.
Okay.
that
I would love to read that.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
And that presentation will be vegetarian presentation that will be given by, let's speak policy. Please appoint someone.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. Maybe you can do it.
Oh yeah.
The token vegan.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean that's
Absolutely.
good.
I'm vegetarian, I'm not vegan.
I have a lot of sources, trust me.
So the last pillar is, I mean, it's not that we are only limited to those 4 pillars. The last one is cleanliness, no illicit sex. So who wants to read that? You want to read?
Cleanliness is destroyed by illicit sex. This is sex outside of marriage. Sex for pleasure compels one to identify with the body and prevents one from understanding Krishna consciousness.
So I mean, at a youth level, I don't know how much you can really expand on that. I think it's because I think if you read the literature in this country, the sexual activities start when kids are in high school, right? So high schoolers are the ones which so we are teaching that border, like Y3 and Y4 is the group, So I think that's where the sexual education comes in handy, because there are schools, even Christian schools, they are teaching sex education there, and the public schools are doing that.
I've heard that the pregnancy rate has been going down for teens in the last few years. So I'm thinking that maybe it's reducing.
It's working.
No, it's not really.
I don't know.
For example, the divorce rate is also going down. It doesn't mean that there are no divorce. People are not getting married but living together. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Pregnancy
So,
means they're having other means to avoid pregnancy.
So I think cleanliness.
Is that the reason why cleanliness is specifically called out for illicit sex?
Yes, that. I think I was getting to that. So you could cleanliness again. Few slides. Okay, external cleanliness and internal cleanliness. Okay, so the external cleanliness. Okay, we could externally clean ourselves by taking a bath and this and that also, right? Internal cleanliness is really how you internally clean yourself by
Models.
Yeah.
Like
Thoughts, exactly. So the thoughts, how you clean your thoughts. So there are various ways you could talk about that also. But I think it's just to because that's it seems that that's the highest pleasure,
In this
right?
material world.
In this material world, that's the highest pleasure. So once you are in that highest pleasure, because that's the ultimate goal. What happens? Just see what's happening here now. State of Missouri. We are not too far from here, right? Governor is involved. Okay, I can give you in our group, Signature Medical Health, doctor. He was involved. Physician who worked with the Olympic gymnastic team for 18 years.
That's awesome.
18 years. He's involved. So you just name.
Yeah.
And who knows if the leaders, these are the people who are really looked upon in the society, as the best and the brightest. They are leading the country, they are leading the state, they are leading the office. You know, it's a moral issue. So that's why I think it has to be brought in some way. So where do you fit in? So that's my take on that. You know, so that you have to really be with,
Now, see, I think all those examples that comes from the seat of power, right? All the examples which you quoted are all
Yes.
coming from the seat of power.
Yes.
So I am more powerful than you.
Yes.
I can dictate terms to you.
Yeah.
But even setting aside the power,
Yes.
this is
So
still people without
I
power.
think people who with power are more exposed now because things can be done against them to teach the world. Suppose if an ordinary person does it, nobody knows about it, right? At the most, he goes to the jail, nobody knows about it. But you have to educate that okay, you know, you are even if you are powerful or you're not powerful, you are really losing
Yeah,
the ground.
this is only part of it. Really, I talk about in my class
Yeah.
where you know all you guys, you know, you're all studying to be professionals. You know, you will be lawyers, doctors, and you can make a lot of money. But you know, certain things, you know, you have to make sure that you're sticking to doing the right thing.
Yes.
Because there are I give examples of a lot of these people, you know, who happen to be Indian origin became CEO and then they went to jail, you know, because
Yeah.
they were doing something wrong
Yeah.
in their position.
Yes.
So doing the right thing in spite of whether you're how much money you make or how successful you are, you know, that's very important.
Yeah.
So that's something I try to pass on.
So-
I think giving examples is a very good way
Example is
to do
very
it.
good, but I think this is also this cleanliness talk can be converted into a corporate culture also.
Right.
What you really how you behave with your colleagues, with your employees. Right now, I mean, I have like 180 people in my office. How I behave with them, because everybody looks at us, and we are also the targets too, you know. So this is just the tip of iceberg
Yeah.
in the conversation, you know. But you have to open up in some way, so the kids understand. So until unless you start really implanting that seed from the very beginning that this is off limits,
Yeah.
you know, I think because once they go to the college, you know, you don't have a control on them, right? Whatever they do, they might want to enjoy, and that's once you start, it's very difficult, you know.
I think it's once they're in high school, you know, it's very hard. What's the age range for the kids that are going to be learning?
We our youth group starts at age 12,
Eighth grade.
8th grade, 8th grade to
Seniors.
junior, and seniors are
Yeah.
teachers themselves, you know. So hopefully they're good.
See, I think you're going to get a lot of questions about this.
Yeah, you will.
I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
The reason is, you know, so like dating, right? Is that illicit?
I think if
We're not
I,
going to get a different answer from the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be prepared to answer those questions.
Right.
I think a young adult might say, if you say this is sex outside of marriage, so they're going to say so sex if you're not married is okay. You know, I think they're going to
Yeah.
really
That's right.
have a
Circumvent.
lot of interpretations
Yeah.
for this.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a very not controversial, but I mean, it's a topic which should be open. You should be discussed, and I think we should, as an institution, we should give our views.
Here is the point on
Yes.
as per our dharma.
Exactly.
The point is there are 4 varnas are there, 4 ashramas are there.
Yes.
Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So right now you are Brahmachari, meaning you are a student. You have a next stage where you can do what you want to do. That is Grihastha. So what you are trying to do when you are a Brahmachari, trying to do another job is not going to fit your role and it's going to be more disturbing mentally. It's going to put not give a very good longevity or long life. So
Because they will have friends, dates, they break. right? So what happens when you have a friend, you are very happy, and when it breaks, you are really all I broke up.
Right, no, so that's fair.
Yeah.
So let's say if a kid has some date and stick with the same person, right? So if they had sex before marriage,
Yes.
so let's say that they had only one relationship, both of them, that's all they had. Do we call that illicit?
Well, I mean, according to again, you have to put through
your
dharma,
explanation, yes.
dharma explanation. Yeah, I mean, if you're teaching the as it is, then yes.
So it's very clear. It's what is as it says. Anything before marriage or outside the marriage is not common experience. You make an agreement, husband and wife live together, then that's good. If not, it's out of
I think when you are on the preaching side, when you are standing up and talking about something, you have to give the explanation as it's per books.
Right, yeah,
Now
yeah,
people will
answers to the kids,
yeah
right?
people will yes, they will push. You know.
Yeah, this, as she said, there'll be questions on this.
Yeah.
So I think these different aspects what I see here, they'll be beyond their understanding. We'll have to come down to the level.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. We have to maybe have 10 slides and then research a little bit more on these yeah.
And each topic that you're touching, if you strictly go by what books say or Vedas say, it will not make sense to me. Related to science,
Yes.
it will make a hell of a difference.
Yes.
No, illicit sex.
Oh, exactly. If you put health and science there, STDs number one. Right?
No, you can convince. There are two or three topics here. Then.
Yeah.
Illicit sex, outside marriage, extramarital, all that stuff. I totally understand. We can convince them.
Yeah.
I'm saying the monogamy. You are saying this left side of marriage is no good, right side of marriage is good. Monogamy. So that we have to clearly explain why that is the left side is bad.
You can give the scientific reason also, because what happens is, we're getting to the details now. What happens is, to get a drop of sperm, it is said on a scientific, it has to be 4 gallons of blood makes one drop of sperm. So that means you lose that energy. That means you're going to be more weaker, mentally also, physically also. Rather, you have to sustain that energy for the positive and better life. So the act can be not to be stopped. The act can be postponed at the right time. Anything done before the stage of, say, 20, whatever the age is before marriage, is going to reduce your lifespan actually. It's going to put your lifespan down. Counts is going to reduce by. We can get into more detail, but this is one of the reasons why.
So that's the boys. What about the girls?
Yeah.
If boys are not involved, girls are not going to be there anyway.
No, I think the other question is going to be okay. What is the girl losing any energy, or like that? You just gave the example of maybe a girl wouldn't agree with that. Okay, what about me?
Exactly.
So.
I think, yeah, looking at 12 to 15 years age, coming down to that level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this is for us where we are in a different.
We are just extrapolating
Yes,
that.
exactly.
What
Yeah.
anticipated that,
Yeah,
need to be prepared and
we
all
have to say it very nicely, and you cannot say yes, you cannot do it.
Exactly.
You have to find the reasons, and you have to produce facts, scientific ways, and all the education. Yeah.
And something that makes sense to you.
Yes.
And they will follow.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, kids in high school today are way advanced.
Yes.
And they know a lot. And so I think that your strategy should just be very consistent with your
Yeah.
answers.
Yes.
Which I'm
Absolutely.
sure that you will be, but
Yeah.
just don't waver. Don't try to let them interpret things.
Yeah, no, they will try to see when we do something wrong. When suppose I did something wrong, I will always try to justify it by a means. That okay, why I did this, and this and that. I'll go around beating the bush. So the kids, they're smarter than us. They will actually do it more. So yeah. So. So that's the final word. I think we are done with all those slides. Do you want to read?
In this age of Kali, most of the population is foolish and not adequately educated to understand the Vedanta philosophy. The best purpose of Vedanta philosophy is served by inoffensively chanting the holy name of the Lord. Vedanta is the last word in Vedic wisdom, and the author and knower of the Vedanta philosophy is Lord Krishna. So
we started with Dharma, now we are ending it with what the end result is, so it's for our so that was a last slide. So any other, because I think because that 4 points, pillars are the main gist of the whole thing. So each one needs to have, I just didn't have much time to really put more, because otherwise it will go out of this discussion, so, but I think we can individualize it, but the main message, like you said, has to be conveyed, and whichever way, how polished you want to do it, how kind of, nicely you want to do it, scientifically or health-wise and this and that, but we have to come up with, because these are very important practical topics where
and you plan to have these covered for the whole year, right?
so what I think our plan was that after we are done with majority of the presentation, maybe in April and May we will sit down and see what topics then suit by 1, 2 and 3, so that's how we distribute, so that even if there's a repetition from these kids, you ask them, okay, Y3 is the oldest one of the oldest group we teach. I start with first thing from them, that okay, tell me, does Krishna belong to Mahabharata or Ramayana? And how many kids will be right there? They have learned it all, but they don't remember where he belongs to. Probably half of the kids say that he belongs to the Ramayana. So this is how we start. So sometimes revisions are not very bad. I mean, even us, we forget so much. We have to keep revising. So I think if there's some repetition, that's not a problem.
So do we have topics assigned for the future top classes?
So next week, who wants to do it? Volunteer yourself. You want to do it? Since you've been involved.
Yeah.
I am not here next week, but I can leave the projector. You have the projector. You can meet next Thursday. I can arrange it. So
okay.
and do it. Is that okay?
Yes.
I can just let the manager know. Next Thursday or Wednesday. When do you want to meet so that I can arrange it?
I'm not here.
You're not here?
On Wednesday.
Oh, Thursday is good.
You want me? Yeah.
Thursday?
Thursday is good. Yeah. Tuesday.
And maybe just proceed, we find the town
So you're sending this email to quite a few number of people.
So initially I used to send it to the whole youth group, all teachers. Then I think after 2 or 3 months